guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka GeekXX Chic, and we are back with another reaction to Dr. Stone. We're on season 3, episode 6, which is called Treasure Box. Last episode, we finally set sail. We have left the island after working so hard on building a ship. Just about everyone is on board. A small contingency has stayed back. And Senku said that he wants to head to the island where the astronauts crashed all those years back because the pod that they came in would still be there. And he believes that there's a lot of things that they need in order to move forward there. So that is where they are headed. And that's pretty much it, really. I mean, the whole episode was about finishing up the ship and getting out there. So I'm excited to see what we find on the island. So let's jump right in. But just before I do, a reminder that if you'd like to be in the know of when I drop episodes, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. All right, that out of the way, let's get into the episode right now. I think we're closer to 8 now. I mean, one step at a time. Look at you. You really think it's in a box like in a game? You think? You don't know. The fact that he still doesn't call him dad. I mean, I know it's not his bio dad, but come on. Aw, look at him all old and stuff. The hair's still killing it, though. What tree had the audacity to grow on that? He's like, that's a message from my dad. Prepared for what? Right? All night long and we only got through 8 stories? Or 7? Mumi said you talk too much, that's why you got sick. Gotcha. All those things in the treasure box. Nice. Quiet now. Make sure that the criminals don't hear you say that. Ew. Guano. True. Yeah, I guess the point is let the resources be there, right? There won't be a fight for who you can revive if there's enough for everyone. It becomes a fight when suddenly there isn't enough. Or you're crazy like Hyoga and he doesn't want to save any or revive anybody. There you go. Who are you? Nani? He's never grew no hair? Like the name of the rocket. Clearly you're not from the box, so there's more people that were left on the island. That makes sense. Right? I was like, that was as soon as that dude said it, there's nobody there. I was like, there's probably people there. I don't think everybody left the island at that point. Probably some decided to leave while others decided to stay back. Yeah. Get over yourself. That's just Japan. It's a big wide world. Same descendants from the sounds of things. Yeah. Who else would they be? Possibly. Right, you're gonna have to talk them into being nice. Whoa, whoa, breathe. Oh, true. They could be more technologically advanced because they would have been around all the other stuff. Wait, when did her dad even get on the ship? I don't remember that from last episode. Again, they had all the resources. You're forgetting. Folks have to realize that there are people out there who know things and don't need to share it with the world and don't want to. Whole secret societies that are still being discovered. The fact that you're crying says it's still important. I think you need to figure it out. Facts. It's all about answering questions. But seriously, what happened to your head though? Mm-hmm. We in a ship, baby. She's got nothing better to do. She might be into it. We don't know. I was about to say, this is not new for you, Ziba. She's been hanging out with these guys for a long time. And she might actually be interested. Water and what's in the other one? Oil. Oh, yeah. That's not pathetic at all. Thank you. I am someone who gets seasick. It's just the way it is for some of us. You make some Gravol, Dramamine, whatever they call it. I mean, that will cure your nausea, just, you know, forever. Right? Such a parent thing to do. Oh, you got energy now? Go clean your room. You should. You really, really should be. Because the ocean storms are no joke. And the water, it's not your friend. Look a wicked. Watch yourself, sir. Men are just as moody as we are, if not moodier. Thank you. Oh, what happened? Big talker, what happened? If you say so. Maybe you should be out by the steering wheel, just saying. Uh-oh. For what? Oh, yeah, good point. Respectfully, there's no way you remembered that. Just kidding. Kids can actually remember quite a bit, especially if it was traumatic. Ooh, wipe the snot. Hopefully friendly folk. All right. Okay, so we are approaching the treasure box / treasure island after being at sea here for a couple of days. We see now that we have a passenger on the ship that no one recognized because he didn't dare give his regular name, or his real name, I should say, because he wasn't actually a member of Ishigami Village. He washed up on shore a number of years ago, and whoever chose to take him in as a child decided to lie about his origins, to which I'm like, in a small village, you're telling you're just not going to notice that someone suddenly has a baby? Like, no pregnancy, just boom, I got a baby. Don't talk to me about it. Like, huh? But anyways, we're going to let that go. Either way, we see that he is there because it turns out he is from somewhere else. And this is a huge surprise to the people from Ishigami, understandably, because they thought they were the only living village. But Senku was like, that actually might make sense because we know that the spaceship did not crash here. It crashed on an island. So how did people get all the way over here, right? It stands to reason there could be other survivors. And as I said in the episode, as soon as, who was it, Magma, said, oh, it's uninhabited, we have nothing to worry about, I was like, there's gonna be people there. Just because you said that, there's definitely gonna be people there. But that makes sense, right? Because I like that they showed the flashback, and first of all, they explained why it's a treasure box and why Senku's going there, because he knows his dad, and his dad put a bunch of things that he knew would be important into the ship, because he knew that the ship would stand the test of time, and that, you know, it's made of materials that don't easily disintegrate or deteriorate. So yes, he knew that eventually somebody would figure it out, and he had faith that it would possibly be Senku. But digressing, it makes sense though that they showed the flashback of the original astronauts, and then eventually, we saw that they got married, they had babies, and those babies had babies, and we got to the point where even Bayoka was an old man, right? So that's probably, I think we can assume that at least 2 generations had been born in at that point. And so we don't know when, but considering it's been thousands of years, it makes sense that after a while that island would have gotten small. Let's be real, we don't know how big it was, to be fair, but with thousands or at least hundreds of years going by, families continuing to grow and be born, eventually it was probably starting to get pretty tight for everybody to stay there. So that is probably what drove the impetus for some of them to say, you know what, let's see if we can find more land, let's go and expand. That's how society, that's the way our world developed, for us here on Earth, is that they started out with clusters of people, and eventually as the populations grew, they would spread out, and some would eventually explore and go further out. So it makes sense that the people from way back then did the same thing. And as Senku said, they probably attempted many times to go out by sea. Sadly, they probably lost a lot of people, but eventually whoever ended up being the beginnings of Ishigami Village actually managed to make it out there and start all over there. So anyway, coming back, he's saying, yeah, there's probably a remnant of people who didn't leave, who stayed there, and they've just continued to live life out there and continue to grow to some degree. Still doesn't explain why this, what's his name, Soyuz ended up over there. How long? He must have been on a ship, because there's no way that little boat would have drifted all the way to Ishigami Village and that kid would have made it. Let's just be 100. It's between dehydration and exposure, the kid wouldn't have made it. So someone was trying to get to Ishigami Village, I think, or trying to get to the mainland, and something must have happened. But digressing, it looks like whoever's on that island has been around. They would have had, I think, Ishigami Village had the 100 stories, but I feel like the people on this island are possibly going to be ahead of where Ishigami Village is to actually quite a bit, because they would have had more direct from the source stories, if that makes sense. Not to mention, who knows how many other things that the original astronauts and their families would have left behind for them versus the people in Ishigami who had to start from scratch. Because I'm guessing that when they left, whenever they left, they probably brought very little with them, because they did not have a boat to the likes of what the kids have built here, right? So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what kind of people are there. We see there's a little bit of panic about that, because they were like, oh, what if, we thought it was uninhabited, we'd be able to do what we want. But if there's people there, the biggest issue really is going to be, are they going to be willing to part with what is inside the rocket, and is it still intact, right? Because if there's a lot of people there, they might have gone and found it already and already made use of its contents, or thought it was useless and tossed them, who knows? But that's kind of the biggest fear of people still being there. But it's still new people, and I'm interested to see what kind of people they are and how they get along with this group, and whether or not they're going to recognize who Senku is based on his name, the way that I should say mostly Ruri figured out when it came to him. But yeah, outside of that, just your normal other little hijinks here, like seasickness, how some of them discovered that they're not easy about being on a boat. And I feel that. I personally feel that a lot. I cannot handle the motion of the ocean either. But we see that Senku was able to make up a pretty quick remedy for them on board. And then we also got the schematics of their new ship. And it looks like it's everything they should need, right? We have sleeping quarters. They have a place to keep growing their food. It looks like they brought some animals to be able to produce some other food for them. And then some place for them to sleep. And of course, water, which they absolutely need. And then the oil, which is required for them to fuel the ship. So simple yet effective. And hopefully she'll stand up. And this is its first storm. So it looks like the ship's doing well under the storm. And we hear from Senku that it's actually a really good opportunity, because it'll obscure the boat from the view of the island long enough for them to figure out, at least get an idea thanks to the radar and sonar, how many people might be there, and they'll know how big of a party is waiting for them. Let's just say that when they get on board, or get on shore, I should say. So I'm excited to find out who's on this new island, though. That looks like a lot of fun. And as I said, I'm glad that we're actually making some progress. This episode, we probably could have landed on the island, but I think just the knowledge that there are more people is kind of a huge part of this episode. So I still think that was pretty helpful. So I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please show some love, and I will see you in the next one.